Hello, I'm Dottie Bernard, a member of the NERAC Disaster Shelter Committee, and I'm here to explain how to open an emergency shelter using the supplies and equipment in your NERAC shelter tubs and trailers. We've developed a 9-step plan to help you activate your shelter. So let's get started. The first step is to notify the Red Cross of your shelter opening. The Red Cross may have resources to help support your shelter either immediately or when the resources become available. That's why you should let them know that you're opening a shelter in your community. The second step is to walk through your facility and complete a pre-opening site survey. Preparation is the key to a successful shelter, so it's important that you conduct a walkthrough of your shelter site. Try to identify spaces for food preparation and serving, sanitation and hygiene, sleeping areas, and lastly, places for administration and storage. Identify any safety risks and areas you might like to limit access. One of the things you'll find in your NERAC shelter tub is yellow caution tape that you can use to restrict access to areas as needed. The third step is to recruit the shelter staff. A successful shelter requires properly chosen staff. Consider using volunteer organizations to provide help, such as the Medical Reserve Corps or Citizen Emergency Response Teams. Most communities have a variety of civic organizations that are willing to help. The fourth step is to brief the staff and assign shelter jobs. To assure a smooth running shelter, it's important that everyone knows their role. As staff arrives, be sure that they sign in, are assigned a shelter staff position, and put on a vest badge or some sort of visible ID. Your NERAC shelter tub contains blank badges and staff vests. The fifth step is to locate and set up a registration area. For shelter management, safety, and security, it's important that you keep track of who's in your shelter. The best way to do that is to set up a registration table that has clear access to the shelter entrance and has an area for any registration waiting lines. Your NERAC shelter tub contains blank registration forms, pens, and clipboards. Step 6 is to locate and set up a medical area. With emergencies often come medical issues. That's why every shelter needs a first aid or medical area. You should stock it with basic first aid supplies, and you may want to set up a few cots as well. For the comfort of patients and staff, try to locate it in a private area or room. Your NERAC shelter tub contains first aid and medical supplies, such as a first aid kit, gloves, and masks. Step 7 is to locate and set up dorm areas. One of the primary functions of a shelter is to provide a safe place for people to sleep. Shelters generally operate better when there's an area for family groups, with or without children. NERAC shelter trailers contain both regular size and extra wide cots. Step 8 is to locate and set up other shelter areas. An emergency shelter can be a very busy place, so it's useful to have separate areas for the shelter management staff, communications, and a food preparation and serving area. Your staff will appreciate a separate area where they can take a break. Your NERAC shelter tub contains office and administrative supplies as well as communication devices. Step 9 is to put up shelter signage inside and outside. In an emergency, people may not know where to go. Shelter signs help both staff and shelter residents. Place the signs in areas where they won't be blocked by people or equipment. Your NERAC shelter tub contains markers and paper to help you make signs. Following these steps will simplify the activation of an emergency shelter. Your NERAC shelter tubs and shelter trailers contain valuable supplies that will help ensure a well-organized shelter. Thanks for your attention.